Okay, our first panel, we're going to be talking about the drivers of return. So we're talking about strategies for long-term profitability. Our different panel members have different areas to speak to. We're going to be joined by Allison Ferguson with Honda. We have Beth Reese from Southern Company and Jamil Farshchi with Equifax. So thank you guys for joining us. And they're going to be taking us a journey of what they're doing and then how they're doing it. Beth, I want to start with you because when we first had a conversation, you got so excited. You were like, we're all about the long game. Yeah. So I want to start there because you certainly had a long game ahead of you. You had to replace a 30-year-old customer service system. So explain to us, where do you start with that and then how long it took?
Thank you. And thanks for having us here, Lisa. We're so excited to be here in Atlanta. Just for those of you in the audience who don't know who Southern Company is, we are an energy services provider. We provide natural gas and electricity to 9 million customers in the Southeast and Illinois. And our focus is clean, safe, reliable, and affordable energy. So we're really glad to be here in our hometown, talking about the long game. So Southern Company has always taken the long game. We have for everything we've done, whether we think about how we started to where we are today. But one of the things that we took a little bit longer game on was replacing our 30-year-old mainframe customer service system. So back in the 90s, there were lots of implementations for customer billing systems, in this case, to bill our 4.5 million electric customers. For a lot of reasons, we delayed that replacement and really had to wait for the right time and think about what that long-term strategy was. We many times took a little bit of a stab at it, and in 2019 really were able to take some time to say, we know it's coming, let's start doing some planning, whether it's investing in certain technologies we knew we wanted to have in place before replacing the real heart of the system, to planning, really taking the time to plan what is it going to take to get this thing done. It's a 4-year program from start to finish. But with any technology, when you implement, that's really the start line as well. So it's a long program. We're excited about it. Target to go live in the third quarter of 2026. So we're about halfway through. Really thought about how to deliver value to our employees and our customers along the way. Customers are at the center of everything we do. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't go dark, if you would, for that 4-year period of time. And that's part of how we think about taking a long-term view is how do we deliver short-term wins, if you will, along the way.
And what kind of things did you do, for example, with data and meter readings? Talk about some of the different.
So some of the things we've done is, we're like any company. We have a lot of data. So we collect meter readings, for instance. A lot of data tells us about how you use the electricity in your home, can let us know if you have an electric vehicle or not, for instance. And the smaller increment of those reads we can get, the more data that we have and the better decisions we can make to provide you with better information for your own usage. So one of the things we did early in this program, we delivered last year, was replacing what we call the meter data management system, which is where we capture those reads and that information, some of which we pass on to bill you, some of which we can use to understand, are you having an outage? We should know that. Can we send you forward-looking information? Can we pull that data up and make some intelligent inferences about your billing and get ahead of, if you're going to have a high bill, remind you what that looks like from a weather perspective, for instance. Weather does matter. So we're trying to use that and deliver that along the way so we can use AI and other tools to help us make more proactive inferences, whether it's how we operate our system or how we talk to our customers.
Good. Now I want to keep it on the customer perspective. I'm going to go to you, Allison, because Honda has really zeroed in on the loyal customer. So if you can explain why that's so important and then what Honda is doing to kind of reach that customer.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Allison Ferguson. I joined Honda Motors, which you've probably heard of. Probably have a Honda story even in your background. But I joined Honda. I've been in loyalty marketing about 22 years and joined them about 2 years ago as their first head of customer loyalty. And what that means is at Honda, we are really perhaps later than we should, but beginning to both define what our loyal customers are, what it means to be loyal to Honda, but also be able to identify them throughout our system architecture, whether that be a dealer, an email, a customer service call, in the vehicle, what have you. So have a data and and technical architecture around loyalty, and then deliver loyalty experiences to our customers. So we're not doing a points program or a credit card. We can talk over drinks sometime about why we're not doing that sort of expected approach, but really trying to create both transactional and emotional loyalty with our owners so that we build generations of persistent relationships, both singular and in a household. So it's become, my honor to lead that effort with American Honda Motors.
And do you have any examples you can give us about, what are the types of things that you're doing?
It kind of, we're tackling things from a few different perspectives. Something that might be more resonant with this crowd is American Honda Finance, which you probably are aware that Honda has its own financial arm. And, we issue, let's say, in the hundreds of millions of dollars in incentives each year as people might come back and refinance or release with Honda, but they're not terribly differentiated based on your longevity of relationship or how well you take care of the vehicle, which is critically important both to resale and other factors for the longevity of our assets. And the customer is an asset, as I would say, but also the vehicle itself. And so how do we start think about taking what we're already investing in terms of bring back incentives and differentiate them based on relationship and tenure and behavior rather than just throwing out in the market these same types of incentives and have customers be able to earn them and increase them over the time. So say you purchased your car, gave it to my 17-year-old son about to go to college, and then I released a vehicle. Maybe my incentive should be higher because I'm showing more generational loyalty. That's one example. On the emotional side, getting people involved in our brand racing events or we have a lot of differentiated assets at Honda that are unique to our brand. So if we can get people excited about our race cars or our motorcycles, our new Moto Compacto, our electric vehicles, helping educate them about the societal benefits and things of that nature through content, that's more of on the emotional side of loyalty, but it also uses technology to do that. Then we form a different kind of bond that can create loyalty as well. So kind of tackling it from two different perspectives.
Excellent. And full disclosure, I do have a Honda, and it has about 200,000 miles, so I am a little
Well, thank you, and that's a moment we should celebrate, right?
Exactly. But it's about, passing it on, how you're saying, to your daughter. It's this emotional journey that you kind of take with cars.
Exactly.
So thank you for that. Jamil, I want to go to cybersecurity. Now, this is your baby. You built one of the most advanced cybersecurity systems. What I like, I was reading up different articles, is that you describe cybersecurity as this team sport. So explain that and some of the benefits that came along with it.
Sure. Well, first off, I think, thank you for having me here. And I think everyone probably knows about Equifax. Predominantly we're a credit bureau, but I think we're much more than that. I think more critically, we're a decisioning company, being able to help our customers make better risk decisions predicated on a significant amount of data as well, just as you were saying. So in 2017, we had a breach that cyber breach that I think most folks in here are probably aware of. It was a watershed moment for the company. I was brought in, I was at Home Depot helping them after the breach that they had there. And what we did, I think, was really transformative. Most organizations, when they deal with an incident like that, what they do is you patch a little bit and then you hope everyone sort of forgets about it and you move on. What we decided to do was transform the entire company, top to bottom. I mean, as I look at it now, it's almost unrecognizable relative to where it was when we started. And so we completely replaced the entire technology stack. We changed all of our data processes and protections there. But most importantly, to your point, we changed the culture of the organization. In today's day and age, I'm sure almost every company here faces this, millions of attacks a day from the bad actors. It is tough to be able to fight back against them. But the way you win in this space is by working together. And so whether that's internally, and so it's not just the security team that's operating on an island, and instead working with all of the other business units to be able to help affect change and drive that, or it's working with your external partners. Like we work heavily with our with our customers, specifically and the government, and a variety of external entities to be able to help shore up our defenses, give us the visibility that we need to be able to ultimately win against the bad guys. And so that's, when I say team sport, that's really what I'm talking about.
And it's about collaborating, getting everyone together.
Well, you can't. I mean, look, we spent $1.5 billion incremental dollars on the transformation that we underwent. Despite that, and all of the controls and hiring and all that other stuff that we've done, if it's just us fighting against the Chinese or the Russians or any of the other threat actors out there, we're probably going to lose. But armed with the assistance from all of our customers, from the government, the CISA, the FBI, and so forth, we have a pretty good chance to be able to fight back and be able to defend the organization and the data that we're entrusted with.
Excellent. All right, Beth, I want to bring it back to you because you were talking about all the benefits, right, that you have done from recuperating this system. I'm sure it wasn't easy to do. So if you can talk about some of the challenges, maybe some of the roadblocks you have, maybe that can offer some advice for those out in the audience today.
Yeah, look, technology projects, as my colleagues up here know, are all about people. And we historically, at least at Southern, have every time we've started a new technology project, which, you know, in the past has always been an upgrade of some sort. You kind of grab bits and parts of people, and you assign it to them as an add-on to what they normally do. One thing we did very differently with this program, and I think it's because our leadership was scared because we're touching all of our customer bills, is we identified really top talent and took them out of their day jobs and put them together on a team together. And it's really, at least in my career lifetime, it is an unprecedented way of us approaching this. But it is about having the right people at the table. And it's the absolute definition of inclusion, making sure I have the right opinions. And so that's one of the opportunities I see, is making sure that we have the right people, because they can look around the corners. They can know that this thing links up with 260 plus other applications and it's going to have an impact, and how to think about all of that. And so that is, for me, that's the biggest takeaway, is having the right people.
And for Allison, you talked about some of the benefits, some of the examples that you were doing, but how did you go about doing that and getting that loyalty program together?
Well, we have a way of being, I guess you would say, a philosophy at Honda called Nimawashi, which is really about being in the roots of a problem or a conversation. And really, to echo Beth, it's really about the people, but actually immersing, coming into Honda with the teams and understanding the fundamentals of their business and their challenges and their needs, and building the strategy collaboratively. I mean, I would say that's fairly obvious, but also doing and listening to the customer and doing customer research to understand what their real pain points are. For example, when someone leases a car, at the end of the lease, a lot of people want the same car and the same model and the same color and the same trim, and they can't find it. And this seems like, if you're not that person, that may seem odd. You know, everybody has their own preferences, but that's a problem we could solve with technology and anticipation and marketing and collaboration, and have a lifelong value stream of a predictable, returnable subscription to a vehicle. So that's one we can tackle as a team, but it takes a lot of systems and changes in the way that dealers think about inventory management, things like that, but it's a very high yield priority when we do the business case. So that might be something we prioritize, because it's both something the customer really wants, a big segment, but also that sort of revenue stream where you could say 20% of your lease customers want that, and 6 months out you lock them in for 3 more years. I mean, you can just imagine the return on investment with a $50,000 product, what that would look like. So really getting into the teams and the business case and the consumer wants, and intersecting those, and sort of serving as an internal consultant in the matter, I guess, is sort of the approach that I took with it.
Excellent. And Jamil, aside from cybersecurity, there was another program where you really helped increase as far as workflow, time saver in the work. So I'm sure I'll set the scene for you, okay? So I'm sure everyone has been there. You're on your computer, you come back from some time off, and you go to log in, and you forget your password. and you're like, shoot, okay, let me go to where did I put my notes? Where did I put the old password? But I had to change it 6 months ago, so I have to call IT, and then you have to wait for IT. You see where I'm going with this? Who's been there? Anyone been there? Okay.
You all have.
Everyone has. But you came up something where that could be a time saver for that. Passwordless authentication. Not as easy to say as you can explain.
Look, this is borne by the fact that over 50%, some numbers put it at 86, 90% of all breaches happen because of credentials, passwords. And the reason is because as soon as I get your password, I can be anywhere in the world and I can apply that and probably get into the environment, get into your account at the very least. And so what we said was, you know what, let's get rid of these things because it's the #1 vector. And so we took an innovative approach and we put in this solution that allows us, just for biometrics, you can just immediately log in. VPN, whatever the situation. We even have it set up so that if you are calling into the help desk, that all you got to do is just type in a little code and automatically authenticate it. So as soon as the agent picks up the phone, they know exactly who you are. And so we don't have to worry about anyone misrepresenting themselves or other attacks that could happen on that front, especially with AI voice cloning and stuff. The interesting side effect of this whole thing, though, was the enablement aspect. Like, I knew we were going to improve our security dramatically. I knew we were going to help on costs in terms of password resets and things like that, because those are gone. What I did not expect was the euphoric response from the entire workforce, all 22,000 people that work at Equifax, because of exactly what you discussed. Everybody absolutely hates passwords. And when you just completely eliminate them, the amount of productivity that you save, I mean, it adds up over time. And so it's hundreds and thousands of hours over time, over an entire workforce. And for them to just be able to get past the security piece and automatically log in and get to work to whatever they're trying to do has been an absolute, complete game changer for us.
When you say you mean a thumbprint or how? Okay.
Yeah, you can type in a code if you want to as well, but it's way easier to just thumbprint it.
But then I have to remember the code.
You could, which is why I don't recommend it. No, you actually have a code that it gives you, and you just type
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so I want to push it forward, thinking ahead to the future. Beth, where do you see? We talk a lot about AI and all the power it needs. Okay, you see where I'm going with this. All the power. How is Southern Company getting ready for all this talk that we've been hearing about when it comes to AI and the power it's going to need to drive these data centers?
Look, we're at a pivotal point in our career, and we play the long game. And the way a utility grows is it attracts a great new business to town, and that brings workers that need homes, that need commercial businesses, whether it's a hairdresser, or grocery store, or whatever. And that's how you grow. This is a totally different way to grow. It is big data centers that really bring a lot of tax base, but don't bring a lot of people. And they want it a lot of power, very reliable now. So it is kind of pivoting and putting us on our head, right? In a 140-year-old plus company, having to redefine how we respond to this and how much generating facilities we need to be able to respond to it. It's a really exciting time. It's a little scary for people who really like that old traditional way, that how we respond, but we're here to do business. You'll hear our CEO and everybody who works for Southern and Georgia Power here in the state of Georgia. We're open for business. You just have to figure out how to respond so quickly. There's also the question of how real it is, and we're trying to work through all of that as well. Okay. But it's not just powering AI. It's also powering cloud computing, anything on your phone, everything Equifax is doing, everything Honda's doing, everything we're doing. So we believe it's here to stay, and we're excited about it. But it is a very transformational moment in our company.
Thank you. And Allison, are you moving, let's say, thinking ahead to the future, are you moving beyond just cars? Does your loyalty experiences extend beyond that as well? Yeah,
I mean, ideally, we would be an enterprise loyalty initiative. For me, sitting in the role that I do, we want to be able to read customer signals throughout the different channels and interaction points with them, because it's an unpredictable buying cycle at times with automotive, and we don't know which of our customers would be able to extend into power sports or motor sports in particular. And there's a lot of different ways that customers' tastes change or needs change, and there's a lot of data involved in our system and in external channels that they may interact with, and the ability to really bring that together to drive personalization in a responsible way, at least from what I do at Honda, is where I hope AI can empathetically and responsibly play a role so that we can better and be more efficient in bringing customers their next purchase opportunity and delight them with it, instead of hammering them with emails when they're like, I'm not even thinking of buying a car. My car only has 100,000 miles on it, whereas you want to keep it for 200,000, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So I think that's where I'd like to see us be able to use AI.
Excellent. And Jamil, it seems like you're always thinking ahead. So what's on your mind, let's say 5-10 years from now? But it seems like, I mean, technology changes as of yesterday. Like something, it's always changing. So what are you thinking of looking ahead?
You know, I've been in tech. In middle school, for my science fair, I coded up a Frogger game. So I've been in tech like my entire life. I have never been more excited and somewhat fearful as well for how the rate of change going on right now. AI is, you know, I am a believer through and through. The things the experiments that we're running right now are just, you know, everything from pretty minor stuff like, you know, document review for contracts and stuff, all the way to multi-agent capabilities, allowing us to automatically put stuff into production, meeting all of our security and technology just through a prompt. The changes that we might see around, that we will see, I'm pretty sure, around just UIs and how customers interface with the technologies and the products that we offer them. I feel like everything is up for grabs right now, and I think that for most organizations, the key is to make sure that you've built in the infrastructure, that you have the compute, you've got that unified data backbone, you have the right platforms in place. Because if you don't have all of those things, you're going to struggle. You might be able to leverage AI in certain pockets of your organization, but you won't be able to truly take advantage and maximize the value of the opportunity that we have in front of us. And so that would be my plea and suggestion for everyone out there. Make sure you've invested in that infrastructure so you can really capture the value.
Excellent. Before we go, we do have an audience question that I want to get to. How do we see companies integrating tech, automation, and talent in the future? Beth, I think we were talking about this, how you're kind of leveraging the data technology to get ahead of the customer so the customer doesn't have to call as much, so then that person can then be used in a different role. Is that kind of
that's the whole idea, is to be able to get our people focused on providing higher value responses, whether it's to the customer, allow the customer to self-serve as much as they want. And when they do talk to us, it's really about that high value stuff and the questions that they can focus on to help the experience be better.
Allison, the same for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, when we're all automobile owners and customers. I mean, if I can create whatever I think is cool from like the ivory tower, but if you don't have, it doesn't manifest in the in-person experience with a dealer or a service person, and that doesn't translate, then it's really just it's just academic. So the data and all of that we do has to translate into real life experiences that the customer has. That's what I really believe.
And Jamil, how do you see the interaction of all those three?
I think it's when I think about things like agentic AI, I think it's going to completely disrupt the way that we do business, and I think it's going to require a reskilling of a lot of the workforce that we have, certainly in the technology space, and even outside of that, because I still feel like even today there's a lot of reticence to leverage AI, or some people feel like it's cheating or whatever it might be. Instead, I think we need to lean in as much as we can, because it provides a clear and obvious and objective competitive advantage for any individual or organization. And so I think we really need to lean in on that front. If I can give one last thing,
sure.
The fearful part. Be careful of AI voice cloning and AI deepfakes. These are vectors that attackers are now using more and more and more. You know, there was just a recent one where a company accidentally sent off, I think it was $25 million to a bad actor because they got duped by joining a meeting with what looked like real people that were all AI generated, and he thought it was the CEO and the CFO that were there and approved the payment and went off. This stuff is going to happen more and more. And even with phishing, like you be careful of that too, because they can automate this stuff and tailor it exactly to you and what you might want to click on to be able to get their way. So a lot of opportunity, but there's a lot of risk that we have to manage as well.